course that I have written. It covers a lot of topics from politics, economics to philosophy. So before we get started, let's talk about the origin of money. It all started with the barter system, where let's say I'm a hunter, I hunt deer and I exchange it for something I want, like a basket of eggs. But then during winters, I might not always find some animals to hunt. So what people started doing is hoarding seashells, gold, silver, and other precious minerals and exchanging them for commodities. And eventually, kingdoms started issuing official gold coins that people deposited in banks, and these banks gave back promissory notes. What these notes basically read is that once you exchange this piece of paper in the bank, you would get back that gold in return, and that is essentially the origin of our modern currency. So these notes basically have zero use value. There's not much you can do with this, but these are very high purchasing value. You can purchase whatever you want with this, and these notes are no longer related to gold. They are not floated to gold's value at all, and that is essentially a modern financial system. You earn money, you earn these paper notes and exchange them in exchange for commodities. And this system definitely has a lot of merits. So it paved the way for the Industrial Revolution, which would have never been possible without the division of labor, which money has enabled. And our modern infrastructure, supply lines, our quality of life would have never been possible without currencies. And people could engage in non-primary occupations, like in the barter system, you could never be a machine learning researcher, right? Because you would have no tangible product to trade. So this system definitely has a lot of merits. Now let's talk about labor a little bit. Now what exactly is money? Money is just your labor quantified. You work and then you get back a particular amount of money in return. That's how the world works. And everything that you want to buy, let's say I want to buy an apple, I want to eat an apple, so I either go to Aldi's and pay money for it, or I spend my own labor in foraging and going to a forest and picking out apples on my own. So everything that you kind of do is based on labor. You either work for money and get it in form, like indirectly in form of labor, or directly by putting in that labor yourself. So let's talk about the web. Our current financial world is nothing but a system of interconnected interactions which are in which people basically just exchange their own labor for money. So let's say I'm a software developer. I work, I earn a salary, I go home, I spend that money in, let's say, buying a ticket for a music concert. The musician gets paid with that money, hopefully, and then the musician maybe spends that in a bakery to buy bread, and the baker then spends that money to buy his raw materials. So that's how our current modern financial system works. And this is like a very, very small zoomed in representation of that. But then if you zoom out a little bit, everything is just a labor transaction. Everyone works and everyone basically enjoys the fruit of other people's labor. Just money is like a middleman. It's all labor money commodity transactions. So let's talk about the problem with our current financial system. We are riddled with issues. There's poverty, people don't have money, and because of that people commit crimes. There are thefts, robberies, people suffer with financial instability, there is food insecurity. Technically, we have all the resources to solve world hunger, but we don't do it because it's not economically feasible to ship everything from the Western world to third world countries. We don't do space travel because it's not financially viable for any country to do it out of the goodness of their heart. We don't solve global warming, even if we have all the resources to have solar energy, wind energy. We have everything, but we don't do it because it's not economically viable. So is there a better way? Now think about it for a second. Like, just close your eyes and imagine. Like, you work, you're a software developer. You go to your job, you code or do whatever you want, and then at the end of the day, you don't get a salary. But you go down to the bakery near your house, and then you just pick up a loaf of bread for free. You don't pay anything. Then you come home, you log onto your computer, you buy tickets for $0. Now that sounds very, very absurd when you listen to it for the first time, right? But think about it for a second. Like, would anything change? Technically, everyone is working and everyone is still enjoying other people's fruits of labor. That is exactly how our modern system works. The only thing we are doing is we are cutting out this middleman. The confidence of people, this money only has value because of the trust that people have in this particular country's government, right? If you just cut out this middleman, what exactly happens? Our current world continues to function as it is. But then, like, if you don't get paid, why would you work? But let's pause. Let's backtrack. You have like maybe 80, 90 good years of your life, and then what would you do with those years? If you wouldn't like sit on your bed or your couch and do nothing, you would do something, right? And that would probably be something that you're very passionate about. Like, to be honest, I would not have been a software developer if money was never a concern. I probably would have been a marine biologist, and I would have been a way better marine biologist than I'm a software engineer, just because that is something that I'm very passionate about. So we would get passionate producers. There would be no crime rate because there would be true equality. If money doesn't exist, anyone can just pick up that loaf of bread. There would be no food insecurity. The population would be happier. And of course, we would solve climate change, because why would you continue using fossil fuels if you can, for the same price, do like solar or wind energy? So I have a little bit more time, like I have a half an hour extra. I want to spend that in the Q&A. That's why I've ended the presentation early. I encourage everyone to ask questions. It's based on this blog that I've written. This was like a trailer to that blog.
Oh,
so.
Very cool. Okay, well, thank you so much. So, I don't disagree with you in principle. I think that you raise a lot of excellent points about how we have a lot of societal problems that extend well beyond the United States. We see these problems literally everywhere around the world. Now, if I'm looking at this from a hostile audience perspective, because I'm going to just like play that card, let's say you're looking at the major elites, like the Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's of the world. I don't need to tell you about the waste of money that we spent a couple last week with the, never mind. But you know where I'm going with this. They might argue that they don't like this system because it strips them of their elite status. Is there a rebuttal to that argument? Like, because obviously for this to work, we would need everybody to be on board with it.
So I think the point of the conversation is to strip humanity of this supposed elitism, and if you adopt this philosophy, it's basically solving a lot of problems that we have. And apart from that, like, let's just look at the government. The entire government structure would change. Like, people would no longer vote based on tax cuts or freebie politics. People would actually vote on natural resource allocation, education, stuff that actually people want to learn about. So all of these elites that are like billionaires or probably just a part of the government, I think it would actually be good for everyone, not just them. And there would be no elitism left in society at all, right? This is like true equality at its finest, because everyone has access to all resources. Like, I could buy a Porsche if I want. It's free. Anyone could buy a Porsche. So the value of a Porsche is going to drop as low as the value of a Honda Civic. So there would be, yeah.
Adelaide, go ahead.
So I have some questions. If the value of a Porsche drops, right, then why would I want to buy a Porsche? I think to even get to the point of building a Porsche, right, you have to start a company, get people to invest, buy stocks, do a lot of research and development. So a lot of the fine things that I currently in society might not actually be present if there's no like some form of incentivization.
So there is definitely incentivization, and that is, I would argue, your passion. Like I said, I'm a software developer right now, and I would say that for a lot of people, that everyone didn't dream of being an engineer when they were like 6 years old. Probably people had different dreams. And then, like I probably would have spent more time in research about something that I'm really, really passionate about and contributed that way to the society. And I think that is a good enough incentive, like people's true passion to do stuff. Currently, I agree, people are not as passionate about their jobs because they are forced into it because of money. People do their jobs for money. People rarely do jobs for their passion.
Other questions? Let's hear from Shivam real quick, and then Nandita.
Just a generic question about how this would work out. Obviously, some products in the market would be preferred to other products in the market, so everyone would want the same product, especially if there's no monetary value associated with it, right? So how do you meet the balance between demand and supply?
So people would have definitely different preferences. Like, I would want a Porsche, someone else would like a Mustang. So that difference would definitely be there. And I doubt that everyone is going to want the exact same product if there is no elitism attached to that particular product. People would actually, so if Porsche didn't have that extremely high price tag, then people would probably drive more Honda Civics in society than Porsche, just because it's more feasible in a smaller city.
Okay, Nandita.
Yeah, just kind of following off of that, what if it was more scarcity goods, so like water or food, or like we had like a shortage of like farming, for example, like something happened, like how would this system, and I can imagine maybe like it could be like a bartering system, because that's kind of how the world worked before we had like monetary money, so like how do you envision that kind of future?
So currently in this world, like I didn't put in statistics because I mean it didn't go well with the presentation, but currently we produce more foods than, so currently our society suffers with like we don't suffer with a production shortage, we suffer with a consumption shortage. in the United States and Western Europe, we waste more food than there are actually people starving in this world. If we wanted to really end world hunger, it would be very easy for us to. All producer countries waste a ton of food. Like you go to the supermarket, most of that is just going to get trashed. It's going to go nowhere. Why? Because it's very economically infeasible to put it on cargo ships and ship it to Asia or Africa, where people actually need it.
Great, yeah.
I thought someone would ask this, like, who